Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Ghostbusters Afterlife is now out in cinemas and fans are very excited to finally see the long-awaited third installment of the series. To mark this occasion, I watched all 140 episodes of the classic 80s cartoon The Real Ghostbusters. What is that, you may be asking? Well, let me explain. Set in a world where Ghostbusters is a movie based on a real team of supernatural investigators, The Real Ghostbusters followed Ray, Egon, Peter and Winston as they took on a different monster of the week each episode, with help from Janine the Secretary and Slimer the Green Ghost. It was a show that stayed true to the spirit of the movies, while also giving its own spin on the franchise. What was most notable about it though, was how it was quite dark and intense for a kids cartoon, giving us ghosts that were surprisingly scary for the target audience. Unfortunately, studio interference in Season 3 led to a dip in quality, flanderization of characters, misguided recasting, and a watering down of the horror. It basically became just like every other kids cartoon and lost what made it so daring and special. And in this video, I'm going to be counting down my picks for the top 5 best episodes of this TV show. Let's go! Number 5. The Devil to Pay. After Winston and Ray enter the game show Race the Devil to win a holiday, the two manage to pass their audition, but it turns out that the host is a demon called Dib Devlin, who's tricked Ray and Winston into playing a contest in his own hellish realm. There's always been a dark side to game shows, from behind the scenes crookedness to the exploitation of desperate contestants. So I love how this episode satirizes the more sinister aspect of fluffy TV entertainment.
Shouldn't I read this first?
No! It's a standard release form. Everybody signs one, even me.
Dib himself steals the episode with his flamboyant personality. He owns the spotlight as he plays the role of MC with glints in his eyes and a twisted smile. There's no rules or fairness in Dib's game show, and he loves how much that ticks off his contestants. At the same time though, Dib does have an impatient and bad-tempered side himself. We even learn that he wants to get out of doing game shows despite excelling at his job.
I'm tired of being a minor demon. I'm wasting my potential. And you do-gooders are my ticket to the majors. Your souls can get me out of game shows and into the big time. Heavy metal, rock and roll.
Dib's games are totally bonkers too. It's so fun seeing what kind of messed up challenge is next for the Ghostbusters. From a disturbing version of the kids game Hangman, to a giant roulette set that puts our heroes' lives on the line. The guys aren't just playing for a vacation anymore either, because if Dib wins, then Ray and Winston will belong to Dib for an eternity. The game show stops being about a free Tahiti trip, and suddenly we're fearing for the souls of 2 Ghostbusters.
I have sold my soul to the devil.
Actually, Winston, Dib is a minor demon, not the devil per se.
I have sold my soul to a minor demon.
None of the guys have their proton packs either. All 4 of them are completely disadvantaged, left to rely on their wits and courage alone, and they end up proving that they can be brave heroes even when everything is set against them. The Devil to Pay is a brilliantly entertaining game show story with a memorable guest villain, excitingly dangerous challenges, and strong incentives for our heroes to win. Number 4. When Halloween Was Forever. This Halloween, ghosts have been popping up more often, which is exhausting the busting team. Things get even worse when the legendary Sam Hain is resurrected, and he plans to make Halloween last forever by slowing down time. There's quite a few Halloween specials in this show, but this one really trumps them all. Despite not being about dressing up and trick-or-treating, it manages to capture the Halloween spirit perfectly, by exploring the core of the holiday through Sam Hain, a monster of the night who despises humanity, and wants to unite every ghost to torment mortals for an eternity. He's the very reason why kids dress up every year to scare away ghouls.
All things of the night are mine, on this night more than any other, for I am Sam Hain. I am Halloween.
The apocalypse is a recurring plot in this show, and I think that this is one of the show's best takes on the world ending. It really captures this feeling of hopelessness through atmosphere alone, evil ghosts coming together in the night sky like dark gods, the slowing of time itself to end the balance of everything, and the Ghostbusters being overwhelmed by an onslaught of Halloween creatures, all help to create this sense of an Armageddon. Luckily though, one thing counters all this doom and gloom, that being Peter Venkman's dry wit. Seriously, out of every episode, this is Peter at his best. Every joke he makes helps us to keep our hopes up, because comedy is such a powerful weapon against evil.
I was trapped in stone for so many centuries.
Okay, no problem. You're new in town, out of the house for the first time in 1,200 years. You want a little excitement. Hey, I can understand that. So, When are you taking the next train out of town?
But the unsung hero of the episode is Slimer, who has been forcibly dragged into Samhain's scheme. Even though Slimer is scared of Sam and his friends at first, he ends up developing the courage to stand up to them and remains faithful to the Ghostbusters. Sam has the power to destroy poor Slimer, but the little spud keeps fighting through the Halloween night.
Already time has stopped. Halloween will go on forever. Night will never end.
Come on, Slimer! Fight him! Get away!
This is a fantastic seasonal episode that really deserves its place on my top 5 list. Number 3. The Thing in Mrs. Faversham's attic. When an old lady called Mrs. Faversham asks the Ghostbusters to help her get rid of a demon in her attic, the guys end up stumped after realizing that this isn't any ordinary ghost. You see, this creature is more of an ominous presence than a physical entity, kind of like an abstract force. So our heroes can't just zap it to save the day. They have to find a way to bring out its real form before anything. I love how this thing uses knickknacks and antiques around the attic to construct a body. It's such a creative way to give a metaphysical threat its own tangible appearance. Heck, this demon can even create multiple bodies, or possess items for violent intent.
Look out!
We later learned that when Mrs. Faversham was a little girl, her dad summoned this demon in their loft, so that he could spoil his daughter with everything she ever wanted. But the evil spirit couldn't be controlled, and had to be imprisoned in the attic forever. The thing can't leave the attic, it's pretty much stuck there. But that's what makes the attic itself so unsettling to be inside of. This vengeful spirit's pure hatred has consumed this loft, turning it into a cesspool of misery and melancholy. Even though its space in the house is limited, it remains a danger to Mrs. Faversham, because it can still shake the roof, which causes the whole building to quake. When we finally see the thing's real form, it really lives up to all the mystery. This stormy cloud full of many evil eyes that embodies seething malice. As soon as we know what it looks like, we want it to be trapped.
Destroy you! Destroy you all!
There's also something very personal about this case too. To everyone's surprise, Peter is the most passionate about helping Mrs. Faversham, because she reminds him of his own mother, who he regrets not spending more time with in the past. By the episode's end, Peter decides to stay behind after defeating the thing, just so he can give this lonely old lady some company. It's a touching gesture after all the trauma she's faced, and a nice way to show the softer side of the most cynical and sarcastic Ghostbuster. This is a top tier episode that explores a more unusual type of ghost, one that pushes the animation medium in fun ways, while also giving us a truly sympathetic and likeable victim of supernatural harassment that we genuinely want the guys to save. Number 2. Ragnarok and Roll. When a man called Jeremy gets his heart broken, he uses a flute to summon dark forces and ignites the end of the world. It's up to the Ghostbusters to stop this jilted lover from destroying the planet. Like I said, there's a lot of real Ghostbusters episodes about the apocalypse, so much so that we actually get used to it happening. But Ragnarok and Roll is the best of these storylines to me. Despite the episode being only 20 minutes long, it manages to get across how much the planet is in danger in a short amount of time. The destruction is on such a huge scale that we believe that Earth will soon become a husk of what it once was. If this was the last ever episode of the show, I'd totally buy it, because it all really does feel like the end. The Ghostbusters themselves are up against a wall too. Their proton streams only tickle the monsters being summoned, like they're not designed to take on evil this strong. At the end of the day, it's in Jeremy's hands to end this nightmare, but he refuses to turn back now.
It's too late for me now, and too late for everyone. That's the way it's gotta be, darling.
This is where Titilio, Jeremy's best friend and loyal sidekick, comes in. This sweet guy wants to be faithful to the master who saved him, but also feels tormented seeing his best pal getting sucked into the power of evil. Titilio ends up being the true hero of the episode, not through violent strength or anti-paranormal weapons, but by speaking from his heart, giving us one of the greatest speeches ever in a kid's cartoon.
Nobody ever said the world was an easy place. Nobody ever said you wouldn't be hurt. If you weren't sufficiently loved, it's your own fault, not the world's.
The episode is very much a fable that we can all relate to, that we shouldn't let the cruelty of this harsh world make us feel entitled to lash out against everyone around us. Titilio is living testament to how you can be a good person despite how much is thrown at you. While I do think that Jeremy deserved a far more severe comeuppance by the end, because he did cause worldwide destruction, I really appreciate the sentiment behind Titilio's message, and how Jeremy's fall from grace can be applied to our own lives.
Before I reveal my number 1 pick, I'd just like to remind folks to consider subscribing to my channel, and if you're already subscribed, don't forget to click that notification bell. Thank you.
Number 1. The Boogeyman Cometh. One night, two children called Megan and Kenny Carter come to the Ghostbusters for help, claiming that the boogeyman is in their closet. While most of the busters just humour the kids, Egon instantly believes them, and feels the need to stop this monster right away. This episode has gained a lot of popularity through the boogeyman character. It's no surprise why. This bedtime creep is horrifying for a cartoon villain. His abnormally large head, hideous mullet, spindly goat legs, and raspy guttural voice make him a terrifying creature.
I remember you.
Egon, move!
No. Not again.
Many people who grew up with the show remember the boogeyman sticking with them. Even as an adult, I can see why his very presence would freak kids out. But that just goes to show how much risk went into this episode. The fact that the boogeyman is an old nemesis of Egon and the very reason why he became a supernatural investigator makes this mission incredibly personal for the smartest Ghostbuster too. Egon doesn't want other kids to suffer like he did and won't rest until this closet-dwelling monster is beaten. It's great how Egon's arc throughout this episode teaches kids watching that even the most intelligent and rational adults can get scared, but deep down they have the strength in themselves to overcome their fears.
It ends here and now, Boogeyman. No more scaring little boys and girls.
This bravery passes on to the Carter kids, who push through all the trauma they've faced, develop a new sense of confidence, and play their own part in the defeat of the boogeyman. To me, this episode is the pinnacle of what a Ghostbusters kids cartoon can be. A children's show that validates kids' fears, while also giving them role models for bravery. That's why I feel the need to put it on my #1 spot.
So those are my picks. Which would yours be? Let everyone know in the comments section below, and don't forget to click that like button. Oh, and if you'd like to support my channel in return for awesome rewards, there's now a join button. Cheerio, folks.